So I've kind of changed my routine here recently and started editing my videos the next morning after I record them. So yesterday I spent the day loading this wagon. I'm going to explain that in a minute. And got up this morning at 4:30, put the SD card into my computer, and for some reason my camera has started switching over to time lapse. I actually have to go behind the camera, look at it to make sure that we're recording correctly. So it records it really fast. I guess it's not time lapse, time warp is what they call it. And so everything's moving around. So like a 20-minute video turned into a 4-minute video, and it cuts out all the sound. So you put it in the editor and you hope you can slow it down, but it becomes real jerky and bouncy. So that video didn't, and that's what's so frustrating, is if you do a vlog video like this and it messes up, the sound isn't right or something, even though it's frustrating, you can do it over. But when you've put all this work into something, there's no way to do it over. You know, I've working on lawnmowers. The other day I worked on what was it I worked on? I can't remember. Maybe it was a air compressor, gas-powered air compressor. Maybe that's what it was. And it went in a time lapse. And I know what it was. It was that post hole digger. Half the video, there was more video to that. Half the video went into time lapse. So I only got the first half. Fortunately, it was enough that I was able to make it work and post the video. So what I'm doing here, yesterday I explained all this. I've got a guy coming over to pick up the scrap from last year's lawnmowers and different things. And in a video prior to that, I explained to you why I was doing it. So I thought, I don't like people backing into this drive here. It's a very skinny drive. And my concern is, try to show you this without showing you all my lawnmower signs, is there's a ditch here. And so when they back in, they tend to back their trailers right into this ditch. And you can see that they've done it before. See, they bent the pipe here. And so I don't want them backing up into here. When people drop off their lawnmowers, I can park it over in the building across the street in the parking lot. There's a building over there. I'm not going to tell you what it is. And the lady, in exchange for me watching the parking lot, letting her know if there's somebody over there, or calling the police if there's something going on, she lets me use the parking lot. Now, I offered her, I think $20 a month, or I don't remember what it was, to use it, but she said, no. I'm so appreciative that you watch that place, because it was vandalized not that long ago. Maybe 2 summers ago. It was vandalized and caused thousands of dollars worth of damage. And I actually saw the kids over there, but I didn't think anything of it. But now that I'm kind of on alert, I mean, she didn't think anything of it either. She didn't have any security cameras, but now she's got security cameras, so I can message her. She can get the security cameras, see if there's anybody supposed to be over there. And if not, then, you know, we can call the police or do whatever we need to do, or she can send me over. I mean, I'm not really looking forward to confronting anybody, but if I have to, I guess I could. So I loaded up the wagon, and I'm going to take it over to the guy who's coming over to pick up the scrap. And hopefully his trailer will work out that I can just back the wagon up into his trailer, hit the dump release, let this dump out. So what you see in here is a full-size riding mower. I've taken the tires off, but surely you can see that that is a riding mower. You know, it's got the hitch here and the transmission and the engine up here, the steering wheel, the seat. It's upside down. And I tried to put as much weight on the front end of the trailer as possible, so it puts weight on the lawnmower tires so I can get traction. But I struggled with this for a bit, but I thought it was a better idea than struggling trying to get his trailer out, having to call a tow truck, and then feeling bad that he got stuck and having to repair that pipe again in the ditch. What I did was I took a come along. I flipped the mower over. It originally had a hood, but I knocked the hood off. So there was I took come along, I hooked the come along up to right here on the edge of and I put the dump up, and I just drug it up. Well, I mean, once it was in there, I had to fang dangle it to a fashion where all the weight was in the front. Yeah, and of course I got all this loaded up. I'm going to strap this down a little bit. I mean, I only got to go across the street. It's not a huge distance, but I don't want everything falling off into the street. And then of course we got the beast that's going to tow it out of here. And then we got the riding mowers, or the push mowers, and what are the weed eater, the weed whacker thing. And then the last thing, oh, and a bucket of parts. All these are parts and cans. So it's all metal. Everything in here is metal. So carburetors. And then we got this bathtub, which I want to get rid of also. This came out of the original trailer. We held on to it for the longest time. And we used it for some things. I can't remember what we used it for. Oh, Carolyn used it to wash blankets. That's what it was. But now we have the washing machine. We don't need that anymore. So, you know, I got a couple generators in here. But, so I'll come back down with the second load. Or the wagon for a second load, and just scoop this up. I know it was probably more work than it was worth, but like I said, him getting stuck would have been a lot of work, and I know he doesn't have a lot of money, and no offense to him, I mean, that's fine. In that video I think I made a couple days ago, he is a really hard worker. In the summertime he cuts grass. He's got a zero turn, and he keeps them repaired. He brings business to me, so I feel like if he's bringing me business, I can give him the scrap. I'll put an up next box to that video I made about why I'm scrapping everything. Even though it was a little bit of work, I was able to do the whole thing myself, put it all in there. And the reason I bring this up is people always say I need people to help me. That in life you're going to need people to help you. Through the ages, I have found myself needing help less and less and less and less. Well, for example, if I go stay at someone's place, when we were traveling, I would stay at dad's or mom's, and I always paid rent. Of course, they would say, no, we don't want rent, but I always paid the rent. And dad refused to take the money, absolutely refused. So I stayed at his place until he was ready to put the roof on his house, and I paid that way. I helped him put the roof on. He has said many times, if you hadn't helped me put that on, I still wouldn't have it up there. So, you know, it was a good payment for me to be able to stay at his place when we were traveling. I just feel like that you should always pay your own way. Because here's the thing is you know, they talk about friendships. You know, you got good friends. In my experience, I've never had a good friend except in high school. And sometimes I even question that. But I never really had a good friend. And it might be my fault. Maybe I'm the jerk. But the way I see friendship is it's an equal balance of doing favors and having fun and going fishing if you go fishing and going hunting if you go hunting. Everything should be a balance. But what I see with friendships is it's always usually one-sided. I have him come over one time and help me load this wagon. And for the next 30 years, I'm in debt to him, and I've got to do everything that he tells me to do the way he wants it done, and usually there's a big fight and feelings get involved. And so I have just found that it's just easier sometimes to do things on my own. You know, instead of waiting for this guy to show up, trying to figure out how he's going to get this lawnmower across the street, because I really don't want him in the yard, dragging it across. It was just easier to come up with my own game plan. Whether he likes it or not, I take it over there, and even if he doesn't want to help me, I can just dump it off into his trailer and be done with it. It was easier for me this way, but I don't see that from a lot of people. Remember one time, well, I used to have a neighbor, and I tried to call him a friend. Of course, it ended badly, like all friendships did for me. He didn't think, you know, he didn't he moved a bunch of old antique cars out in the middle of the road, and he was paying somebody to help him do it. Well, the guy he was paying got hurt. Something hit him in the head and he started bleeding, so they rushed him to the hospital and left all those antique cars in the road. Well, when he got back, he got mad because I didn't just immediately stop what I was doing, what I was doing was I was making a bathroom in my house, completely redoing the bathroom. He got mad that I didn't stop what I was doing and moved those cars back in there. And I helped him all the time. And make an even worse story worse, he even actually hit on my wife one time, and I didn't find out about it until after he stopped talking to us because he was so mad at us. I was mowing his grass when he hit on my wife. Of course, I didn't know about it at the time, like I said, and somebody, you should have defended her honor, which I would have, trust me. But that's how friendships always went for me, is you do for me and I'll be your friend. And I just never understood that. I don't need friends, not for being their slave labor. So anyway, he took that kid to the hospital, came back, and he just ranted and raved to the entire community how I didn't help him. And I was thinking, well, you were paying someone to do it, but you just wanted me to come over, stop what I was doing, working on that bathroom. And the thing is, I wasn't entirely sure that they had left. I didn't know that until a while later. I mean, at some point I did pick up on the idea they just left these cars out in the street and I didn't see anybody home. But at that point, I didn't know what had happened. You know, did he, even if I just said, okay, I'm going to push those cars back into his drive, what if he didn't want them in the drive? So I'm just doing things just because I feel like I should. So it just, everything always ends badly. I had another friend, a couple actually, my ex-wife and me, we had this young couple that we hung around with. Well, we were young too. They were a little bit younger than us. And I mean, that just, it became completely being used. I mean, we were just, they were borrowing money. They didn't want anything to do with us unless they, needed something. They offered to clean the house one time, and they came over and said this was going to charge. And of course, they needed money. And so my wife at the time said, okay, yeah, sure. And they vacuumed, I think, is all they did, and wanted that money. And it just ended badly. I mean, she came over and said I needed to call her husband, which would have been a local phone call, and ended up calling, I don't know, it was a long distance phone call. And that's what ended it, was not, now they're lying. They were lying to us. So, I don't know. I would rather spend an hour or two struggling getting this wagon loaded than dealing with anybody. Oh, I guess I know where I was heading with all that. That guy who with the antique cars, he invited a whole crew over to move this huge beer cooler. It was huge. It was 4 bars, what it was. And he had it in his shed, and he wanted it in his house, or I don't remember. So he just got a lot of people to come over. And nobody had a plan. Nobody knew what the heck they were going to do. It was just 1, 2, 3, lift. And we ended up dumping that thing over on its top, damaging it. Of course, he's mad. And the whole time, I didn't even help lift. I said, I'm not going to do anything with this. The whole time, I'm saying, hey guys, let's stop and think about what we need to do. We need to get over this counter. Maybe we should move the counter, and they just, no, there was no talking. And so, he's mad at the whole community now because his cooler is busted. I don't know. I just don't think friendships are worth the effort anymore. I'm quite content being here by myself, loading up a stupid garden wagon, just so I don't have to be friends. It might be a cynical way to look at life, but I've been dinged on too much in my life. They say someone who's crazy is a guy who will do something over and over again expecting different results. But then when you actually do something different, people think you're crazy. So I guess it is what it is. So I'm going to strap this up and wait for the guy to come over. If he comes over, that's another thing that's got me worried. People's punctuality is crazy. So if you'll click this up next box to take to the video where I was talking about that guy. So if I can inspire you to consider what a real friend is. Sing of your dreams. Thanks for watching.